right. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so roll call. I am here. We have Carl.
Yep.
Jack.
Present.
Josh.
Present.
And our newest member, Ryan Rozanovich.
Present.
Does anybody have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
None.
Here. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Josh seconds. There's no presentations that I'm aware of. So we'll move on. Is there anybody here for public comment? No? All right.
Two beautiful members
That's
in the
right.
audience tonight.
All right then. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
March 5th, 2025.
Second.
Josh seconds. All right. And
Mr. Chair. Just before we move on to the next one, could we just take a moment and greet our newest member, Ryan, and just kind of say hello and formally introduce ourselves. So.
yes. Our newest member here, Ryan Rozanovich. This is his first meeting. Understand you fly for a living.
Yep,
Can you
I
tell
am.
us a little bit about yourself? Prior military?
Yep, prior Black Hawk pilot,
Yeah.
13 years in the Army, and got out, worked in flying MD-80s, in cargo, over in Ypsilanti, and now I fly for Breeze Airways out of Akron, Ohio.
Well, good. Welcome. Thank you. We've had a vacant spot for a while, so it's exciting to have someone new. So, and to fill the spot. So, thank you so much for your time and volunteer.
Of course.
All right. Moving on to action items. We have some discussion items.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
We have the approval of May 7 minutes.
Oh, excuse me.
So if everyone could take a moment and look at those, and then that would be great.
Yeah, let's
Thank you.
And I'll motion to approve the May 7th minutes.
And I'll
Okay.
second.
We have a motion to approve, a motion to second. Okay. All right, those are approved. Moving on. Action items. We have discussion items. 5 different topics tonight. Do you want to start, Janelle, with the PCI report?
I'd be happy to.
All right.
So every year, MDOT has what they call a MAC meeting in order to move forward for the airport capital improvement plan. So at this, and usually we do it in fall time. So are your screens on in front of you?
No.
Right
But
now.
I can see it up
trying
on
to
the
see
TV.
that one.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can get screens on in front of the?
No.
Hold on for 1 second.
Okay. Maybe if that TV was just turned a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not, unless
Okay.
they're.
I don't know.
Can we just turn that TV? I think Ryan knows how to do that.
Yeah, shoot your head.
There we go. That's better. That'll work.
That-
Can everybody see that?
Yeah, that's great.
Is that
Okay.
good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the MDOT, their fiscal year is from October 1 to September 30th, which is different than ours. So our fiscal year is actually April 1 to March 31st. So gearing up for this year airport capital improvement plan, we begin several meetings over a duration of almost 2-3 months to talk about our future airport capital improvement plan, which actually goes out 5 years. This is an annual meeting. MDOT, our airport consultant, who is currently CNS, and then a sponsor representative, which we're the sponsor, and typically I will be in these meetings listening to this. So as a collected unit, we decide really what is our best plan of action moving toward what projects we want to do as far as our infrastructure is concerned, right? And when we review them, we look at the priorities, what the project justifications are, what the eligibility requirements are, and then how much available funding. No, they're fine. They're fine.
We've
We-
had more unruly in here before.
Yeah, I'm like, they're fine. We can ignore them. So anyways, so there's different specifications that we look at when we're looking at what project we're going to select and how we're going to move forward, and do we have the money to do it, right? So during these meetings, we'll submit a draft ACIP, and these conversations will actually be had at, with the commission. And this is actually, you guys are my guinea pigs, because I haven't even presented this to the commission, because I just had this meeting yesterday, actually. So this draft will go to MDOT's planning and environmental unit, and they will look at it. And then what they'll do is they'll look at, are we eligible to ensure that we're going to get accepted for the funding from the federal level, right? So as we are looking at this, there's a few things that the state will look at to make sure that we're in compliance with. And there's an instruction and guidance that they say, look, federally funded projects require for you to be compliant with what we call an AIP handbook. And the AIP handbook includes 16 general requirements for us to make sure that we are eligible for that project funding. And then we'll go through the design project or the design process, and then we also have to adhere to what we call an advisory circular. And in that, is very similar when we were looking for the justification for the design in order to get the taxiway wider. So it's going to go through that same process, right? And you guys ask me questions at any time if, this is a lot to absorb. So I'm sure, questions are always good. So one thing that we've always done is when we're looking at this, we want to make sure that we're selecting projects that are going to improve our infrastructure holistically, right? And we need to make sure that we do that. So we have to meet our grant assurance, which is assurance number 11, that says that you are required as a sponsor, because you receive federal money, you have to adhere to grant assurance number 11. So you have to have what we call like a pavement preventative maintenance program set into place, which you'll see later on is done through a PCI report, it's a pavement condition index report. And so that's how they do that. So the state, on our behalf, to make sure that we are compliant with that grant assurance number 11, they actually fund this, they fund this process for us, and then they guide us to help us making sure that we are in compliance. So it's something that the state funds it, they learn it, and then they share it with us to make sure that we are moving forward picking these projects. And so it's called the APMS, and I'm not sure why Michigan Statewide Pavement Management System is APMS. I'm not sure where they got that acronym from, but that's what it is. So they assist with these requirements: the pavement inventory, which you'll see through the pavement condition index, the pavement inspections. So they have these inspections that are really detailed. So they will break it down to each surface here at the airport, and they'll say, this is what your PCI is. This is what it's constructed of. This is how long ago it was constructed. And this is the recommendation that we have to make sure that you're meeting the requirements for eligibility for funding, right? So that's how it's broken down.
Janelle, so like you said, this much like taxiway alpha, right? When we had the meet in a 90 degree, there's like FAA and other regulations that we have to meet that govern even like the tarmac and things like that. Then
to a certain extent,
Okay.
and yes, that's a great question. To a certain extent, yes. If we are using federal dollars for a repair, it needs to meet those requirements. If we are paying for it locally out of the airport's fund, right, where we're not accepting federal dollars, then we do not have to adhere to those. Good question. So when we're looking at the inspections, one thing that we do daily is, and this is our responsibility when it comes to the requirement from, to meet the pavement maintenance program, is that we have to drive by, they do a drive-by. So we are required, my guys do it pretty much every day, but we're required to do it once a month and keep record of it. And then if we're ever questioned, we have to supply that to the powers to be, right? And so as far as the funding goes, MDOT also doesn't help with that. We sit down as part of the MAP meeting to talk about how much money we really have in order to fund these projects. So our last inspection, so anything that, we're looking at this PCI report, it was done in 2023. Okay, so if you look at how they want this work to be completed, they'll actually kind of look at it as a future forecast, and they'll say, all right, so if we're going to future forecast out, this is what we recommend in the event that you had an unlimited budget, right? And I think that, it's like some $15-20 million or something crazy if we were to fix everything on our airport, to standards. But in most cases, especially for us little GAs, it's probably not really going to, not feasible, right? So some of our goals that we had put into place from last year's ACIP report, so the discussions that we had were, we'll move forward on a couple of projects. Well, we always have surprises, always. So this year we've put in $83,000 of our own local share for our pavement improvement plan for the year 24 and 25 from both years. And that would be, we had a couple of concrete replacement panels upwards in front of the T-hangers. You saw those. And then I had some spalling out on Echo or Foxtrot, I can't remember which one. And then we had more panel replacement east of the hangars, so we replaced those. And then during our surface treatment and preventative maintenance program, which was also it's a statewide program. So the state has a contractor through all the airports, and you can capitalize on that program. I think it's every 3 years, where they come in and they estimate how many linear feet you have for your mastic and then your sealant that they put into the asphalt. So we were actually supposed to be on this program last year. As you guys, many of you know, I think I've talked about it. And time ran out, and our airport, kind of dropped off the map on that, whatever. So this year, when they came in, our contract that we were signed, actually year and a half prior, didn't cover all the linear feet that we needed to do. So I made a decision to capitalize on that cost that was already secured from the year and a half before to continue to crack seal and add mastic to 422 to preserve that runway, right? Because that's what we need to do. And that was that was $10,000 out of our pocket for improvement. Go for it. You have a question?
Is part of that 83,000 Taxiway Charlie when it heaved up a few weeks ago?
Yeah. Yep. So, and that actually, I negotiated a really good price for that. That was only $8,000.
Wow.
So that was, that was really good price.
It looks like a great repair too.
Yeah.
It's
And if you notice, I did concrete versus asphalt.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I want to say thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So, we paid a little bit more, but with that asphalt repair I had done, like 2-3 years ago, you'll notice it's like this. So I decided that this is probably a longer term solution than adding the asphalt, because it's not all asphalt. It's like, but this does also include, so this will be, and I'll show you and I can go back to this, but I'll show you how we all kind of came up with this and how we were going to move forward with these projects, right? So the preventative maintenance project, which we've talked about before, which will be the taxiway Charlie, Echo, and Foxtrot, which is almost, I believe it's like a $400,000 contract. Of that, it's our responsibility to pay for the design out of our pocket. So right now we're $38,000 in for that design on this on this project because we do not have a contract in place from the feds yet. Now, I was told yesterday that the feds are finally starting to release some of that funding for projects, but we're probably going to see them in the primary airports, not so much the GAs. So I don't know how that's going to look, but it seems like once it starts rolling. Now, how that works is that we were on what they call the May transfer. So monthly, we have a Michigan Aeronautics Commission meeting that's set up, and MDOT will represent us, given that they know that they're going to, basically walk in there knowing that this project was going to be funded. And it was approved at a state level already for this project back in May. So we're just waiting for that federal money to come in. And who knows?
That's just a joint seal on Echo, Fox, and Charlie?
It'll be joint seal, and then it'll be some concrete replacement where that you'll see that there's a little bit of spalling out there. So they will do like patches, and I don't know exactly what the proper terminology is, but
But not a full replacement like we just did on Alpha.
No, they're actually just expecting this to just be down for about a month. And if you guys remember, we talked about the phases of this project. So this is it'll be a 2-phase project. At least that's how it's presented. That's, subject to change, but it will be a 2-phase project.
When you say down a month, what do you mean?
Well, it'll take about a month for it to be repaired. It won't be down completely. Thank you
Okay.
for correction on
Yeah,
that,
they'll
because
just
we
be-
talked about back taxing.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And this actually, not to get in the weeds of this, but we really got lucky on this project because typically our share, the feds will normally cover 90%, typically. In this case, it's a different bucket of money, which was once known as BIL, which that fund bucket changed to a wholly different name, don't know. But now we're only paying for the construction on this $1,900. So
Wow.
we really are, because it was part of that COVID relief funds. So there was, I don't know, like $15 million that was going out, part of this bucket of funding that went out. So we wanted to capitalize on this project because that dollar amount will actually expire.
Okay.
So we're using part of our 22, 23, and 24 bill funding in order to fund this project before it expires.
Sounds good.
So this is a snippet that I took from the PCI report. And when we're looking at the PCI report, keep in mind their view is you have an unlimited budget. That you have all the money in the world, right? So, and actually I'm going to shoot to this page and then I'll go back. So if you look at this page, you can see the different colors. Essentially, obviously the dark green, the PCI is great because that's our new taxiway that we just got. And then the light green, the PCI is still in really good condition. We're just not even really to the preventative maintenance part. And also this was done in 2023. It's now 2025. So the aging process is definitely happening out there. Hence the reason we did 422. And this is why we chose to do the joint seal on Charlie, Echo, and Foxtrot. So as we're going through here, we are going to once again address this panel. But if you look at this, they call it the A2 connector from the apron to where the asphalt hits Charlie. And that area right there, the last time we were looking at this in our ACIP report, that project right there between construction, new lighting, and new storm drains was over $1 million is estimated what that would be. Well, we don't have $1 million to cover that, so we're going back to the drawing table to figure out if there's a different design that we can do for that project. And if we have a different design, the question is going to be, can we do some of the repairs in front of Hangar Charlie? So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I think that these are some of the questions that you guys are looking at and how we're going to start to attack
Are you
these
talking about
projects.
for everything in red there that was over $1 million, or just for that little
Just for-
60-foot connector or so?
Just that little connector.
And that was correct me if I'm wrong, that was going to be captured with taxiway alpha initially, and then the price kind of went up on that. We had to cut out, or was,
Correct. And actually, that whole, not just the connector, but the plan originally was to do the taxi lane in front of the hangars.
in front of Charlie.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the original plan. But when we actually got the contractor, and so what ended up happening was they got the bids back. The bids were obnoxiously high, and we had to go back and renegotiate. And honestly, it was still more than they anticipated being, because that number jumped up over $5 million for that project. And what ended up happening, and we got lucky, that there was another airport that couldn't capitalize on that the funding. And so they gave that funding to us in order to us to finish that project. And that doesn't happen very often,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we should thank our lucky stars, because that doesn't always happen, right?
Right.
So if you kind of go back to what we'll be looking at this next, MAP meeting, looking at our ACIP, will be that A2 connector, and then how much funding do we have left in order to do any panel replacement, because it's beyond any rehabilitation, because it got so far bad, right? So, but I mean, that's kind of what they're looking for us to do. And if you look here, you can see this TH01 GI. It'll tell you like how many square feet, what the PCI is, and if what it looks like after the work. But you can come back up to maybe page down. So you'll see that TCH, which is the taxiway, and that's the area that we're looking at right there. And that was what they were recommending in order to meet that eligibility process for funding. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You guys have any questions with that? I tried to explain it the best that I could.
No, that was useful.
So does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we're going to move on to discussion item number 2, the GCO and NDB Future. There had been prior discussion on this, so this is just to kind of follow up on what we had discussed before and see where we're at. So, who wants to lead this? The GCO. Jack?
Sure, I can. Yeah, I guess maybe on this is just kind of, I know last year and the year before, Janelle, right, you were kind of, getting our feedback on, usage of the NDB, GCO, right, and we'd given the feedback, on those and utilization, and was just kind of curious if there was anything else from your standpoint, right, anything else that we needed to discuss on it is, the action to, continue to move forward, decommission them, have they been decommissioned, is there anything else that we need to do, such as an example, like the GCO, it's fully decommissioned, remove notices of it from like the website or something like that. Just curious.
From our website?
Yeah, I know sometimes I can find like mentions of like the GCO, as an example, like I think the GCO has been fully decommissioned.
It
yes.
has.
Yeah, and it's been maybe a month or so, but I know like I can still find mentions of how to dial up the GCO on like the Groseal Airport website, as an example.
Oh, so if those are still lingering out there,
Yeah.
if you could email me and let me
Got
know.
it. Okay.
Because I'm only one person.
No,
probably
and
tend
that's why I wanted to
forget
make sure,
things,
like it's gone, right? We're not
it
repairing
is.
it. Yeah.
No,
that's-
it was
okay.
gone. It was far beyond anybody's
That's what I thought
even
so.
capability of fixing the GCO.
Mm-hmm.
And same with the NDB, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the
that's-
NDB is, I don't think, fully commissioned just yet.
It's not on the.
It's not at all.
On the chart.
It's not on charts.
It's not
yeah,
on-
I'm not
yeah.
seeing any reference of it.
Well,
You're
they were
right,
supposed
Josh,
to
is.
come and take that down also, and I don't know if, he was supposed to actually be here in April to come have further discussions with me, but I have not checked the charts. It's not on there then, Josh?
I don't see anything referencing NDB anymore.
Okay.
We used to have an NDB approach way back, didn't we?
We
Yes.
did, and what
Yeah,
had
those
happened
aren't
is
there.
we
Yeah,
wrapped around, we decided that,
Let's see.
what was the
Yep.
point of paying to maintain it?
Nobody
Because who uses the
knows what
NDB
hell they are
anymore?
Anyhow,
So at that point, I think that we all decided that there was no really point. And so there was a letter that was written in order to move forward to decommission it, so we weren't, incurring that cost.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's, I know that, I appreciate, right, that you had solicited our feedback and, listened very earnestly to, hey, and just wanted to kind of close the loop after so much, discussion on that. So,
No, if
appreciate
you
that.
want to point that out to me.
I think I have it bookmarked, so I'll
Okay,
send it
great.
to you. Yeah.
Yep.
And the only reason that kind of came up is a few weeks ago, a transient pilot had come in on a Sunday and like, hey, how do I activate the GCO, et cetera. To Josh's point, things like the, the facilities handbook had been removed from, et cetera, but I think they had Googled it or something like that. So, yeah, I'll find it. I'll send it to you, and
Okay.
that
I mean,
should be the
Nowadays, I think I always call on the phone.
Right.
Get IFR off the ground. I think that's how most people are doing it.
exactly. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I believe they published all those flight data phone numbers. They didn't
Yeah,
used to
so-
be published. It used to be almost like tribal knowledge.
Exactly, and like so, as an example on Grozio, you go into the the facilities handbook. I can't remember what the latest acronym for it is, but
I still call it the AFD.
yeah, no, exactly. And right there, it's how they call the the governing TRACON for the airport. So it has that for Grozio. So
Okay. Yeah, if you want to just
Approach
email it
control.
to me, then
Yep.
that'd be
will
great.
do. Thanks, Janelle.
Thank you.
Anything else on that? On number
Nah.
2?
No.
Okay. Nighttime approach minimums. This is another prior discussion I think that we've had, and then also VOR approach. We can cover them separately, but we'll start with nighttime approach minimums.
So, well, Jack, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah,
'Cause
sure, happy
I think
to.
you added to the agenda, right?
Yeah, just again, I know that's something that we've been discussing with you. Janelle, just curious if there's any updates or you need any follow up feedback from us. And as a follow on to that, the VOR approach, that's another one where again, right, you've reached out to the the committee here and eliciting our feedback. I think you had gotten requests from the FAA of, hey, what's the usage of the VOR? So maybe we'll lead off, maybe just, any updates or anything else you need from us on the nighttime approach minimums, or how goes your discussions? And then we'll maybe kick into the VOR approach.
So I think that, Josh and I reached out, I don't know, a couple weeks ago to kind of, close the loop on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, I would just make a recommendation that, maybe we get together to close the loop on this, Josh, in the near future.
Yeah, and I think, I do have some context at the Detroit TRACON that can at least, I think, point us in the right direction. I think we did clarify, remind me if I'm maybe misspeaking here, but originally there were nighttime approaches not authorized, I think at one point to both 4 and 2.2, and they removed 4. I'm seeing the NOTAM is just for 2.2 right now that I'm reading.
That was what I understood is
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
But, just while we're on this topic, just so we can wrap back around to that, I think that the other discussion is to understand that the PAPI approaches. So I think that was the second part of that conversation, Josh.
Right,
Remember we
the
talked
PAPI
about
issues.
Yeah, because remember we were talking about the approaches, because it was how they shoot those. There's all those different angles, and so I think that we were trying to understand what we would need to do in order to get those PAPIs back on.
Right. Yeah, I think if you want to, we can circle back maybe after the meeting, and I'll follow up with a couple of those contacts. Maybe we can get you in contact with them.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And yeah, what kind of had my curiosity asking on that is I want to say last month I saw that the FAA, the King Air had come and done some.
It was last
yeah.
week.
Yeah, I'm
And
sorry.
they
Yeah,
were
some
doing
approaches and it
all-
had me hopefully optimistic.
Yeah, they were really zipping around here.
Yeah.
I was last Thursday. They
Mm-hmm.
were really shooting the approaches. So I've been anxiously awaiting what those are going to look like.
Yeah, it's
So-
one of those ones I hope you have, good
hopefully
news
for
and
the-
you break into a happy dance and tell us.
Or is it
so.
a good news or bad news?
Fair enough.
It is the FAA. So,
Okay.
All right.
okay.
And the VOR approach, obviously, it exists. You would, ask for our feedback. We gave it to you. Certain folks, such as, VFR pilots, don't use it. Josh, you don't, but it's a useful asset to the flight training school here. I was just curious if, obviously, the FAA has kept it. It's still there. It's still a published approach. I was curious if they had reached back out to you, or it was just simply thank you for your feedback and that's it.
Well, I think that there was some conversation, about I think that Josh and I are going to talk about that next week also,
Okay.
just to have a clear understanding of how they're going to adjust those minimums. I think that I'll look for your feedback.
You know,
on
I
that.
actually haven't looked at it's a VR alpha approach, by
Yeah,
the way.
exactly.
I actually haven't looked at it in maybe ever. But it's like 90 degrees offset. It's
Yeah,
like a
and
major
exactly, and it's
VR
a
alpha.
circling,
It's a
which
circling.
is,
So it's like very not useful. I mean, the minimums on this thing are basically 1,500.
right. And I fully agree with you. In terms of an approach, I would think very long and hard before I want to do a circling approach. But in terms of like a training aid, I
Yeah,
think
for
it's
training.
great
aid.
to have that.
And I don't
Yeah.
think Carlton VR is going anywhere, right? I think
It's
that's
not
a
on
pretty
the list.
prominent VR
Yeah,
in the area.
it's not slated for decommissioning.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, anything more on the nighttime approach minimums or VOR?
For me, thank you.
Okay. The next one on the discussion items is a discussion regarding potential acquisition of museum plane. I don't know a lot about this. I've just heard that there's a possibility or somebody's looking into bringing in an old airplane, military plane here.
An old military airplane was acquired. It was donated.
It was donated? Okay.
It was donated. So currently it's a S2 Grumman tracker. Quite a large plane. It's down in Akron at the Maps Museum. And there's been discussions to get it back here and to bring it back in. Yes, it was based here, I think, in 1964, 1965. Jack, you might know that better than I do.
I believe so. Yeah.
Is
looking
that
at
what
the
it
history
was?
of
Like
Yeah.
64, 65? It was actually based here.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea would be is to get it back here. I think getting it back here is going to be a challenge, but I think that once we get it here, it's going to be quite awesome. So, not that it can't be done, but it's just going to be, a lot of effort and a lot of people kind of, putting their heads together and figuring out what the best way to get it here is going to be. And that's about all I have to say about it because it just happened. But it is true. It was donated. And it is down in Akron.
But it is ours. Okay. I know there was some talk about trying to get it, et cetera. And I know like the, Airport and Commerce Park Commission, right, has been trying to find a plane with Grosio vintage heritage for a while. So that's
Correct.
I doubt there's, it's been nearly 60 years or so since it's been a Navy base. So not a lot left. It's probably pretty amazing they'll have found one.
I know it's still new and that it was just acquired. Have there been any discussions about where it would go or?
Not at this time. I think honestly, the first step is let's figure out how to get it here. I think where it's gonna go, we'll figure that out. We'll have a lot of time to figure that out when it's taken 20 hours to get here and figure out where it's gonna go.
Okay.
No.
Any discussion of how it's going to get here in terms of funding?
No, it's gonna
No.
be volunteers that are all gonna go pick it up. It's gonna be a happy-go-lucky story, and it's gonna be awesome.
Okay.
Brian will fly at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
for work.
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
airworthy, but
No, we're gonna do a ferry flight.
Has this particular plane got any history being here?
Yes.
When?
1964 or 1965 is what we believe is when it was here.
So it's part of our history already.
It is, yes.
Right. I guess one last question on it. Who's or how is it being? Who's doing it? Like, how is it being done? Like, who's leading the project, or is there any information like that?
We haven't gotten that far yet. This is so new
Okay.
that, I mean, I think it was I think excitement of just having an opportunity to even bring it here, right? So, and there's a couple other moving parts to it, but no, we don't know anything yet.
I guess so. But it's going to be the township and the airport's plane then, or will own?
Well, it was donated to the township.
That's what I mean. Like, so the
Yeah.
township will own the township, and the airport by extension will own the airplane,
Well, that's who it was donated, really, right?
right?
Why are you volunteering to help me figure out how to get it here, Jack? Is that what I'm hearing?
I have some pop bottles that I can donate.
Yeah.
It's probably worth a good $10 to start. So no, I was just curious if it was like the airport or if like a museum was being started here or something like that. So okay.
I really don't have a lot of information. All I know is that we acquired it, and that's what I know.
All right. Anything else on that?
I'll check it out when I'm in Akron next.
All right. Number 5, birds and deer. I know I've seen them coming in a couple times in the last week now, particularly right before sunset. Lots of them crossing the runway on both sides. Lots of deer, and then birds pretty much any time taking off or landing. There's been quite a few.
So in order for me to be able to do things I need to do, obviously I can't help if I don't know. Like, if people do not share with me, I'm not out there. A lot of the times I'm sitting up here behind my desk. I know that we do our runs in the morning, and if there's, notification of the deer, we'll do things. But I can't stress this enough, but if they're spotted, I need to know what time they're spotted, where they're located, so I can address it in the way that I need to address it.
Okay.
Because it's the only way I can do it.
All right.
And to keep on to my powers to be, and I think that's, the best way I can say it without, yeah.
I mean, that's good. I'd be more worried if Janelle was out stalking through the woods at night, What's up with that?
We really don't have anything we do about birds here. Like some major airports, they'll actually have crews that are out sound.
Yeah, sound guns,
Yep.
silhouettes.
We
or-
have sound guns.
Oh, really?
Okay.
We do, yeah. We have sound guns. We will, drive up and down. But what happens with the geese in particularly, they get very used to it.
Yeah.
So, I've been out there, we're trying to go look. See who it is.
Back.
I know,
I'm
come
not
on.
flying it, but it's back.
But you'll notice with the geese, I've been out there shooting a little squealer thing, and they'll fly 10 feet, and then I have to
Yeah.
go chase them again.
I mean, the perfect bird habitat is right next to the airport, so I don't see them going anywhere far. It's just
What do you
what's
mean,
in-
right there in the
that
water?
Gibraltar Bay is
Yeah.
right there. I'm sure that's conducive to it.
Yes.
I've hit a couple out of here.
You've hit some birds?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you hit the birds and you pick a feather off, we can determine the bird that you're hitting, which would be helpful, because then you can take it to the DNR, and at least then they can guide me on how I can, help navigate that particular bird if that's what we have the most of.
I was surprised to see some of them out there on these 90, 95-degree days, and they actually just hunkered down on the runway, and you don't see them until you're kind of rolling down, and they start just going up in front of you.
Well, it doesn't help that we've had 90-degree weather and the humidity's been 100%. And I don't know if you guys have noticed how many bugs we have this year. And that's kind of what they eat, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, my leading edges have certainly noticed. So.
yeah. All right.
But if you guys, honestly, just spread the word
We will.
and let me know.
Yep.
And then text me or email me, because that's really helps me to do what I need to do.
Yep, most certainly, again, with the flight school, right, because they're out here the most, so if we see them, I'm sure you'll talk with them too, but we'll remind them as well.
Correct, yep. That is the best thing that I can do.
All right, moving on from that. Committee member reports, Jack, I think you wanted to bring something up.
Yeah, just for awareness, to let everyone know and everyone who might be watching at home, on August 23rd, between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., there's going to be a breakfast at the airport. I believe the EAA is sponsoring this, the local EAA chapter.
Yeah, it'll be a fly-in.
Yeah.
It'll be a fly-in, drive-in. All are welcome.
Yeah,
I
pancakes,
think,
bacon, sausage, full breakfast, yeah, here at the airport from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, so.
Correct. So Piper's will be here serving breakfast, and I think Tom's coffee truck will be here for coffee. So
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I don't know if you do, Janelle, whenever there's anything going on here, or the EAA, things such as like social flight and a few other social media things are, great that get it out there, that gets it on like Michigan pilots, et cetera. So I don't know if you do that or the EAA or, something like that, but that, certainly gets people eager for flying in. It's amazing what folks will fly in for a, pancake and a sausage.
yep.
Sure.
So we'll be blasting that out on social media. That flyer that you have in front of you, Jack, is
Yeah.
we wanted to do some updates. So I actually just got an updated version of that. So once we get an updated version, it'll go out to social media, but then I'll actually be sending it to the local airports that I have connections with.
Thanks, Janelle.
All right. Moving on, public comment. I don't see anyone here for that. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Who's second?
Jack. We are adjourned.
Thank you.